Hey everyone, welcome to episode 52 of the Pickleball Effect podcast. I'm Braydon.
And I'm Kyle.
So I'm calling in from Boise. Kyle, you're Japan today.
I am in Japan, yeah.
That's so wild.
Was it
When
5
we were
a.m.?
set 5 a.m. Yeah, I know we were setting this up. You're like, yeah, let's do this time. I'm like, that sounds great. I didn't realize it was so early for you. So thanks for coming on so early. I know everyone will appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, looking forward to this conversation. I know you got a lot of fun stories from like the week you've been there. And so we'll kind of dive through that, how they play pickleball in Japan, some updates with some paddles I want to go through. I want to talk about the 3S, the Ripple, my take on the Versix, the new Halo Pros, and then talk about titanium because titanium has been a topic this week, and it'll be fun, dude. So we'll go through that, but I think we'll start with your Japan stories.
All right. So quick way I got connected. I was told to contact Daniel Moore from Daphne, local player from Boise. Actually told me to contact him. He is living in Japan, but he's from the States. So he got me in contact with some locals to kind of get in the groups because there is no open play in Japan. You can't just show up and play. You have to get into an organized group. So every area has what they call like a team, or it's a club basically. And they'll have like an organizer that rents out gymnasiums from like elementary schools, stuff like that. And then everybody pays, they're 300 yen. Everybody pitches in and you sign up, and they'll max allow 14 players on 3 courts. They're very strict on how many people can sign up.
How many people do you think are like in a pod? Like, do you think there's like 100 players per, club or something?
So the club... So I'm going to go play the Everyday Social, which is a brand here. I'm going to go out to their facility and play. And their club, he said, is 140 members.
Okay. So we're assuming that's pretty typical.
I mean, I'm sure there's definitely some smaller ones, but I would assume there's probably 50 to 100 people per club team.
And there's no like open courts. Like you have to just go rent gymnasiums. That's just what's available.
Yes. And that's what they told me. The struggle with the growth of the sport in Japan is in America, you can just go to the park and be like, oh, that looks cool, I want to play. But basically pickleball's hidden in Japan because they're all in rented out gymnasiums.
Yeah.
So
that's
the organic
tough. Like, how do they get new players?
But
I know you've mentioned to me a few times that like pickleball was like booming, like from what you've seen.
It's growing. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's growing.
It's just from these clubs.
Paddles. Well, then there are more and more tournaments. They're starting to have money involved. Next month they have the Tokyo Open. So there's big tournaments happening.
Where are they hosting, or who's hosting the Tokyo? Is it at like a convention center?
I think it might be at like the Tokyo Dome, which is like a big arena.
Okay. So they'll just set up the course. It'll be like a gymnasium style, and that's how they know how to play.
They'll just set up temporary nets and play with they play with the yellow ball, which blows my mind. At least so far, everybody's been using the yellow.
Yellow.
Oh, but in the gym though, it's brutal.
Yeah, on the yellow floors.
Yeah.
So were you given like special treatment to get in these groups? Like if they're so tight, I imagine it's pretty like tough and competitive to get into these groups.
So I'm going to learn more about that, but I guess there is like some politics like between groups, and it's pretty cliquey, but they're all very welcoming to me. It's funny. They're like, oh, famous podcaster. I'm like, no.
That's fun, dude. How's the play? Like, is the level good? I
played with some
Superball, like fast, slow.
So a lot of bangers. Now who put me in contact with some of the guys, he'd be like a solid 4 or 5 in the States. Like he's good. I would say average was 3.5 to 4.0.
Okay.
And I didn't play very well.
Do you think that's kind of the general, do you think that's kind of like the general skill level, or that just happened to be that group? Cause I imagine there's 5.0, there's higher level play once you get into those groups.
I'm going to try and find some of the higher level play, but, so far it's been 3.5, 4.0, very rec play, kind of like typically what you would see at our park. Just a wide variety. And then I'm having a hard time adjusting because I haven't played indoor in so long. Those balls drop a lot fast. It looks like it's going out and it's not going out.
Yeah, they're so soft and slow.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, okay, yeah. What's like the paddle situation? Is it the same brands?
So I've seen there's been a decent amount of Selkirk. There's been a decent amount of Paddle Tech actually, but old Paddle Tech, not new Paddle Tech. And then there's two big brands in Japan. So you have Everyday Social and Minnow. So there's a lot of that, a lot of those paddles.
Okay.
But a lot of the two clubs I've been to, a lot of them are using like demo paddles from the organizers. So like at the Navy base, he's got a bag full of paddles.
So you played on the Navy base, then you played in like one of the local clubs. I don't know, like, does everyone speak English? Like, how's that?
No, there's definitely some, like, there's so far like almost everybody that's played pickleball speaks some English. They all speak 002 though. I mean, they still call it out 002, you know.
So do you just go by Kyle and then just start playing?
So yeah.
Okay. Have you made connections with like specific players that you're like buddies with now?
A couple. There's a guy actually from the States who moved here. His name's Chris. He's from he lived in San Francisco, I think, for like 10 years. He's actually created his own like duper system out here.
So duper isn't like a thing there. This guy's starting to start his own.
Yeah. So he made his own algorithm. It's called like Japan Paddle League or something like that.
That's sweet, dude. Well, cool. Okay. Any fun plays or stories that kind of stick out from playing on base and your first kind of club event?
I mean, just it is funny when I hit an overhead and they're just like, holy crap.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine your hands are probably lightning playing with the softball, slower conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had some fun. Me and Now had some great hands battles because he's the best player I've played with so far.
Well, cool, man. You got more lined up for this week already?
Yeah. So this weekend I'm going to play Saturday in Yokohama with the Yokohama Bay Pickles, and then Sunday I think I'm going to play with the Navy guys again, and then next weekend I'm going to take the bullet train way out to Everyday Social, and Ivan is the owner and he's got a private court, but then they also have like a gym that's going to have like a 3-hour session going. So I'm gonna go out there.
Oh, dope. Sweet. Yeah. You're linked in already. It sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, dude, we'll jump over to Paddle Babble here. And then we got a couple items in Kyle's corner. So let's start with 3S. So I just got the 3S paddles. You had some coming, didn't you?
I think so. They're probably on my doorstep.
Yeah, I got mine today. I literally just got them like an hour before we started this call. Like I just got them here. I haven't even unwrapped the handles yet. But they sent me. I got the Perseus, the Hyperion, and the Scorpius on the 16 mil. I'm not sure if the 14s are going to come later, but they look really sharp. I like the design over the others. But I'm gonna go run the Power Pop spin tests and stuff tomorrow and just publish those. I imagine people are kind of itching. It seems like the word on the street is that they're a little softer, a little less powerful than the mod TAs. But we'll go find out.
That'll be sweet. You gotta let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna text Gabby and see if you got yours, and then I might cut one of mine open.
She's probably like, please take all these boxes off my porch.
All right, this is okay. There's that element, but I also want to talk about this. So the Flying Pickle is the local indoor place here. I'm going to talk about their stance on UPAA, and I'm curious to hear what are the local or just the experiences around the nation of other people in the clubs that they're playing at. So Flying Pickle says they're not going to allow UPAA approved, aka the 3S paddles, in their duper events, Moneyball, or tournaments, and then they're not going to sell them for now. Although you can just like use them in like just general, open play. They're doing this because the majority of non-PPA events have not come out and said, "Hey, we're going to let you use PPA or UPAA. We're just going to stick with USAP paddles. What do you think? Do you think Flying Pickle's making a good move here by saying no, or just kind of conforming and just waiting for more things to happen? What do you think?
So my opinion is going to be biased because technically I work there. I would have a hard time selling the 3S paddle to people anyway, being that it's not USAP approved. So I think it makes like it, if you're not going to carry it in the pro shop, and I kind of agree, like they just want to stick with USAP until something like concrete comes down. There's already too much, like it's so like who do you side with? Like you're almost picking a side
A little
if you
bit.
allow them. Yeah. So, and I know Paul's stance is he doesn't want to be the paddle police, but like he's got to draw the line somewhere,
Yeah, I'm
especially
kind
like
of on the
money
other.
events. And go ahead.
So I kind of have an opposite stance here. Like I think they should be allowed, and my reasoning is, well, I guess I haven't tested the paddles yet, but UPAA have come out and said that they are intentionally trying to make paddles slower compared
Yes.
to USAP rules. And so like, if that's
Mhm.
true, if they are approving paddles that are slower, then like,
Yeah.
what's the difference of allowing these? Cause they don't really give you an advantage speed wise. Spin, I'm not exactly sure if there's like an advantage for one over the other.
So I agree with you there, but this is where this opens the door. If they say yes to that, are you going to tell me I can't use the Hush? The Hush is USAP quiet approved.
That's different. You
Yeah.
can't compare that.
Well, but is it different? Because neither of them are USAP tournament approved.
The Hush has different like the rules applied to the Hush are very different than UPA. Like UPA rules aren't that different from USAP, whereas the Hush, the rules are relaxed significantly where the power and spin changes the game. I'm not convinced that UPAA rules are going to make paddles better than what's already offered by USAP.
Mhm.
Therefore, it's like a null point to me. Like they're not.
Do we have
advantage.
Do we have UPAA rules in writing of what the standards are yet?
No, not all. Well, we have some of them. We have some of them,
No,
right?
no,
Like
we
they
do.
said,
We do. Like
these are the deflection, these are the spin, but we don't have like the detailed. We don't have that in detail yet.
That's what I'm saying. So
But-
until there's like a certificate, until we know, like there's a certification book or whatever, like I feel like everything's still just too like up in the air.
Yeah, I guess so. Like it is up in the air. You don't really know exactly what everything is, how they play. Like I'm gonna go run these numbers tomorrow, and maybe they are hotter. I don't know, because I do know that the way UPA tests deflection is actually different than the way USAP does.
Okay.
The numbers are different, but the way they get to those numbers is also different. And so maybe the deflection is a mute point, or like maybe it is hotter on the 3S. I don't know. We're gonna go test them. So I guess you're right. Maybe it's uncharted. We need more information. Let's wait till we have more information, then we can say, okay, we'll allow these. Okay. You convinced me. You convinced me.
I don't think there needs to be like a fine line, like, no, we're never going to accept these, but I do think we need to at least wait till there's something official.
Okay. And more information on when something is official. So we talked at length in our last episode about Selkirk's letter.
Mm-hmm.
And so UPAA, they didn't publish like a public response, but they did send out some more information to the parties that were involved. And they said that the crux of it is there's a big meeting on mid-September, where all the committee members are getting together. PPL is going to be there, and they're just going to hash out, all the questions that Selkirk brought to the table. And I think that meeting was already planned before Selkirk's letter landed, but now I imagine that's going to be like the focus of the meeting.
Yeah.
So we're going to have more answers about UPA's response and if they're going to conform to those changes and to like what degree they do mid-September. But I am curious what other folks' clubs are doing, and like if they're going to sell the new YOLAs, if they're going to allow UPA at their events. I want to get a pulse on kind of what's happening, across the country and not just here. But that's how they're approaching it here.
So as far as selling it, I know another holdback was with the original Gen 3 launch, we were required to order a minimum of 50 paddles. So that could be another reason why Flying Pickle's like, nah. Because are you going to be able to sell 50 UPAA only paddles locally?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
That's
yeah.
a tough question. I mean that's a decent, okay, 50, they're selling for 280, so they're probably getting them around $180. I mean, that's almost $10,000. Like that's cash.
Yeah.
It's a decent amount of cash for any club. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, yeah, maybe it's not a bad idea to kind of hold on, wait for the water to settle. Is that a thing? Wait for the water to settle? Is that
Maybe.
do people say that? Sand to settle. There's something settling. There's some sort of phrase about settling in some
Wait till the dust settles.
material item. There we go. That's the phrase. Water can settle too, though. That's not horrible.
That's true.
All right, let's move on to ripples. Ripples are causing some ripples in the underworld about opinions. It's starting to become like this anticipated release, and we'll share some of our early thoughts. So one update on release: they originally were hoping to release these within a month. They have delayed that without a specified launch date yet. So we don't know when the ripples are coming out exactly. More information on that to come soon. But you and I both played with them like a week ago Friday. Yep. And then I played with them exclusively since then. And so my opinion has shifted since we last talked.
Okay.
But I do want to talk Ripple for a second. So they have two models. They have the R1.1 and then the R1.2. So the 2 is their standard shape with a longer handle, and then the R1 is their elongated shape with the also an extended handle. Okay, so we played last Friday. This was like a duper event. We both just kind of foolishly walked in with never hitting these paddles to play in this duper event. We were both hitting the R2. Yes. What was your first impressions?
So I even thought about it. Well, for me, it was really hard to control mid-court. I felt fine dinking with it, but I felt, because like I feel like my strongest game is being able to reset mid-court, and I was just doing a terrible job with the Ripple. I thought about it later, and I feel like if I solely used the Ripple, I would dial that in. That's just not being used to the paddle is why I was popping those up so bad.
Dude, we were both spraying it.
Yeah. It was just like, and usually I feel like that's my strongest spot. Like you catch me in transition and I'm usually good at resetting. But with the Ripple, it was just like everywhere, getting each other blasted.
Yeah, we were not dialed in. We were throwing up. So our drops looked like lobs sometimes.
Yeah, it was not there. But the power is really good. I feel like it does have good, like it dinks really well. The control's there. You just have to. It's just when you get. I feel like when I get like blasted, like if I'm trying to pick up a high paced ball, that was where I struggled with the Ripple.
Yeah, so we neither of us had ever drilled with the paddle. We just started playing these games, and you can't do that with these. These are big power paddles. They're up there with like Paddletex and YOLA, and like it's a kind of this like Gen 3 style feel and power. And yeah, the soft game, at least with the R2, it was tough to dial in that first day. And so I felt the same way as you. Like obviously we're both spraying. We actually started winning later in the day. We lost our first 2 and then we won like our next 4 or something. So we got better as the day went on.
Yeah.
But they do have like a unique feel to them. Okay, so then I play again a couple days later. I start drilling with the R2, and I definitely got it better. But I never, for some reason, the R2, I don't know, I just couldn't get a feel for it. It would just fly off a little too quick for me. Like it didn't take much effort for the pop to be there, whether you're transition, dropping, like the ball just kind of would fly off for me. And then I switched to the R1, and for whatever reason, the R1, I was controlling way better than I was the R2, which is fascinating because typically it's the other way around, where like the R2 for me, like the wider shape is going to be more forgiving, easier to kind of dial in, get a feel for. But for some reason, the R1 did that for me, where I was like able to find my soft game with it. And the R2, I just never quite got a feel for it for whatever reason. Like it was just a little jumpier, a little springier. whereas the R1 wasn't, but it still had access to the same power. You
Yeah.
just had to give it a little more to like access the power, if that makes sense.
Got it. Yeah.
And so I was playing, then I played more games with it the day after, and then I played Moneyball yesterday, and it was they do the Moneyball just at, you know, the Flying Pickle, I think like once a month.
Mhm.
And so I played with Abe. He's my 6'6" dude. We do a lot of stuff together. And we had played the day before, and he's like, Braydon, you should just use the Ripple. Like, you're playing really good with it. Let's go see what we can do. And so I did Moneyball with it, and we played pretty well. We ended up taking second place. There was 8 teams. A handful were really solid. We had a good like semi win that got us into the finals. Ended up losing the finals, but I played really well with the R1, and like it helped make up for some of the deficiencies in my game, where like my serves were harder. It was easier to get returns deeper. Blocking drives was easier. Counters were just a little bit bigger. And this is like the first big power paddle where I've felt the gains from the power outweighed the losses in the soft game.
Okay.
But I didn't feel that way with the R2 yet. So I need to give it more time. And the R2 is extremely light. And I wonder if it's just the extra weight on the R1 that kind of gave it that little extra stability, just absorbed a little bit more pace when I wasn't swinging much. So maybe if I get the weight right on the R2, I could get that same effect on the control side of it that I had with the R1. But like I played pretty good with it. And even Abe was like, he's like, Braydon, like, you may have to switch to the Ripple. And anyways, so still lots of thoughts to come, but
so my plan on the Ripple, when I get back, because I agree, that was the lightest paddle, because my main paddle's 9.7 and the Ripple's 7.6, the R2.
Yeah, super light.
So I think I'm going to heavily weight it and then maybe put a slice on it, because I might weight it up higher and then use the slice to bring that balance point back down, so I can get it at least to like 9.0.
Yeah, I think that's worth tweaking and seeing if you can get it to figure out, because it does feel like the potential is there with it. Anyways, I am exclusively playing with these right now, working on the review. We'll have that ready, you know, full thoughts on that when it comes out, whenever it ends up coming out. But I guess I think you mentioned this, it just takes longer to make these.
Oh no, you're thinking of the Olympus.
The Olympus. And
I think the Ripple's hard to make too, but I know the Olympus, they can only make like 4 a day or something. Like each worker can make 4 a day.
Yeah, I don't know what the hang up was on the backing up the launch date, but no, I'm definitely interested in these. It's a little new take on kind of big power. There's really only a few like really huge power paddles, and this will be joining those. So I have a few thoughts I kind of held back on that I'm saving for the review, but that's kind of your first look. And anyways, pretty interesting. I don't know all the details on the technology yet. I need to get that information, but supposedly it's all new stuff. All right, Versix, I'm gonna just touch on this one. So you gave your thoughts on it a couple weeks ago. I finally spent some more time with it. For me, this paddle is like kind of feels a need in the like budget space for more like power type paddles. For whatever reason, most of the budget paddles are in that like control lower all court, like a level of power. And there's just not many like power type paddles. So this one kind of fills a need there, where there's just like a power paddle option. It's not huge power. I'll put it on the lower power scale for power paddles, but it's still a power paddle. And I like what they did with the handle. So the handle is like just under 6 inches. And so they extended the handle like super long, but then they jutted this out here. And so there's still room for 2 hands. Like you can squeeze 2 hands on here, even with this jutting out, but having this jut out kind of help the stability of the paddle. And so a lot of paddles will be like 5.5, right? But it feels like 6. But if you have a 5.5 paddle that juts out like this, it feels like 5.25, like it feels smaller.
Yeah.
So I thought it was smart to make the physical handle super long and then jut it out. So you get that extra long handle feel, plus the kind of stability of having that weight in the bottom corners. And so it feels pretty stable and good for a 15 millimeter elongated, like more than I think it should. So it kind of has that benefit of being approachable. It's forgiving enough, and then it's a power paddle option. It's a little heavier. I think we said it was 120, but it is a nice kind of new option to have in that budget space.
Yeah,
so I think
cheap.
they did a good job with it. Yeah, it's cheap. I think it's 117 after code.
Yep.
And then Halo Pros. Did you ever play with these? The new Selkirks?
I didn't. They sent me the amp control, but they didn't send me the Halo Pros.
Okay. So let's talk Halo Pros then for a sec. Unfortunately, those will be mostly me talking. Sorry.
That's fine.
So they have they do like the two models for their Halos. They have like the Max and the XL. The Max is like the standard shape with a short handle. The XL is elongated with a longer handle, which is funny that like the handles are both like on the extreme side. Like the long handle is very long and the short handle is very short. Like, I don't know why you don't just kind of put those in the middle at like 5.25, 5.5 on both of them, especially for these like kind of entry level style paddles where like they're meant for people who don't know exactly what they want. They just know they want this kind of style of paddles. Like you want those paddles to be a little more like universal.
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny that they have like these extreme handle lengths, but they do. The XL version. So these are both thermoformed Kevlar foam edge. This is Selkirk's first thermoform paddle. How long has it been? Like a year and a half, 2 years for thermos?
A minute.
It's been a minute. But regardless, they finally did it. For some reason, Selkirk likes to follow trends like with their SLK line and then do their own thing for their...
Probably because that's manufactured in China.
Yeah, these are manufactured in China and their premium lines, I think, are mostly made in the US. But yeah, I feel like lately the trends have been better than Selkirk's, premium lines of stuff. And so I think this is like the best all-court paddle that Selkirk's made, and it's in their budget line. And like we saw the Brasha sisters playing with it.
Yep.
And I guess, I don't know. It's funny to me that their budget line are the ones that their pros are using. But the XL, these are both 14 millimeter, actually plays pretty good. So it's weighted up a bit. It's like a 119, 120 swing weight, which is really high for a 14. But I actually like that they weighted it up because a lot of 14s get pushed around by the ball. So it actually carries through the ball nice. It plays pretty well. It feels pretty solid. It's not super stiff, not super plush, kind of in the middle. I like the balance of it. You can actually get some pretty good pace on it from the baseline. And I think they did a good job on the balance and weighting of it. So this, I don't think these are bad paddles. I think they're competitive. Like they're only $150. Like in the thermoform market, I think these are relevant. They were just a little late to the game, but that's just how they do things. But if you're a Selkirk fan, I think you should be stoked about these.
Yeah.
And then their max shape, it was super light. So like a 108 swing weight, short handle, just moves super fast. It's more forgiving than the XL, but it had like some vibrations when you hit the top corners. If you add some tape, ended up putting it on like these two corners here.
Got it.
It kind of trues it up, feels good. But I think they did a good job with these. And like, are they revolutionary? No, but like, are they competitive in that $150 price range? Like, I think they are.
Very cool. Very cool.
That was my thoughts there. Okay, let's talk titanium. I'll let you lead this one off.
Okay. So titanium, thanks to Justin over at Pickleball, etc. He did some digging and found out that titanium is not actually titanium in these paddles. It is titanium colored polyester.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
I lean towards the side. Like, I don't think this was deceptive marketing. I think this honestly was probably translation from China to us, which is why they all just assumed it was titanium. But being polyester, that actually makes more sense to me. That I've always been like, oh, it has a softer feel. Like, well, yeah, it's polyester.
Yeah. I don't think it's like this, revelation makes the paddle like worthless or anything. It's just funny that it's not actually titanium. I still like the way they play. Like I like titanium paddles.
Yeah.
And
And
they're
it's a
still going to
cooler
be
name
called
than
titanium.
I hope so, because it's a cooler name than being like, check out my polyester paddle.
And like polyester, that's what like tennis strings are made out of, right?
I think tennis strings are made out of all kinds of stuff because
Anyways,
you can
it's
get like natural gut. You can get like natural gut tennis strings too. So
yeah, I don't think those are as popular as they were like
used to
100
be.
years ago.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not a tennis player.
No,
I wouldn't know.
Justin talks about it on the Pickleball Pursuit podcast where he kind of digs into this finding, and he thinks it's called titanium because, oh man, what was it? Like that's like the way they color the strings, like that word sounds like titanium. And then when they were communicating that to
yeah,
the sellers, it ended up becoming called titanium. So
it's awesome.
anyways, there's no metal in your paddle. It's a polyester, but yeah, I don't think that downplays how the paddle plays, because there's I bet we see a ton of titanium paddles coming out, and like we're just at the start of that.
Yeah, there's a bunch in the works. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about them, but several brands have some coming. So
I obviously Bread and Butter started this one. They were the first ones with the titanium paddle, the Shogun. It's been doing well. It kind of has like that springy, softer feel, but still gives you that all court performance of like your typical thermoform paddle, but doesn't feel quite as stiff. There she is. And anyways, yeah, we're gonna see more of these.
Look at that. What grips on there? Look at that. Ooh, got the pickleball effect.
Yes. Yeah. So that's anyways, that was kind of a fun revelation. And like this Neonic Flare, this comes out this week. This is like the first titanium wide bodies. If you're interested in that, we talked about.
Have you hit it yet?
That was essentially, yeah, I have. I thought it was, kind of like we said last time.
Yeah, I just thought it was fun. It was like a fun battle.
Yeah, it is a fun paddle. It looks good, and like we said, like it feels like a shorter wide body.
Yeah,
Bread and Butter Shogun, which is a good thing. Okay, that's let's see here. That's all I have for paddles.
Wait,
before
we leave, we have to say the kitchen bag, the sponsor of Paddle, Babble, and Gear.
Yes.
Honestly, this bag has been so cool though in Japan. It's been awesome.
Is that the one you're carrying around with you?
Yeah, and like the coolest thing is like when you get on trains and like all this stuff, like you wear your bag on like your front, and like the top pocket is in like the perfect place for like messing with stuff while you're on the train. I'm sure they didn't design it because of that, but it's like so cool. Like
just turned out
for like getting my AirPods out, and it's seriously been like the best everyday carry bag.
Did it was that your carry-on the plane? Did it fit?
Yeah. Yep. And it fit. I fit a ton of stuff. I did like a video of all the stuff I fit in it. I fit like all my camera gear, a couple paddles, my 2 work laptops. So
you're doing some like creative work and some photos for some brands. You got some good shots you've been happy with of paddles?
Yeah, I haven't shown anybody any of them yet, but yeah, I've got some cool photos.
Well, sweet dude. And then I guess last thing I'll mention here for Paddle Babble is I have a couple updates on codes. So I'd mentioned a couple episodes ago that Franklin was starting to do codes. When I mentioned it, it wasn't live yet. It is now live. So the code 10 effect will work for all Franklin pickleball gear on their website. That works for paddles and for balls. So it's a standing 10% off on their Franklin X40s, which is really nice. And then their paddles, I've been digging their Tempo 14 millimeter. That's their standard. And the 14, it plays really soft for a 14, but still gives you a little extra weight for that stability that a lot of 14s don't have. So I'm a fan of their Tempo 14. Not crazy about the other ones in that series, but that one in particular I think is a good one. And then with 10% off, it's like $135. Like it's a pretty good deal. And then the other code was for Babolat. So Babolat messaged me and said they're going to start doing discounts on their website. They gave me a 20% off, which is like, you don't see 20% off anywhere. Yeah, it's huge. So it's 20 effect. That works on all their paddles, their bags, and then their shoes as well. I'm most excited about the shoes because I wear their Jet Mach 3s a lot. I have 2 pairs that are in my rotation that I already owned before they even sent me this code. And so I was pumped that I can use it myself to get 20% off these shoes and to give other people a good deal on these shoes. These shoes are on tour a lot. Like the Johns brothers wear them. Stack Shoot wears them. No one's sponsored by Babolat, but Babolat does give them free shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting
yeah,
fact about the shoes that
Yeah.
they don't pay like anybody.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty interesting, but they still all wear them. I wonder if we're
Yeah.
going to start getting shoe deals soon for players. I imagine they would. If you are interested in the Jet Mach 3s, they're like a lightweight performance shoe, low to the ground, super fast, and they like break into your foot, which is nice. They get more comfortable over time. They are meant, or they're better for narrower feet, or if you have wide feet, they can get pretty tight. So I always tell people to go as half size up. I do the same thing, and I have narrower feet. But yeah, go check out Babolat. They have more shoes than just the Jet Mach 3s. Those are just the ones I like. And then announcement for my paddle database, dude. I passed 200 paddles in my database for stuff I have numbers on.
That's awesome.
That was a fun milestone to hit. And then let's jump over to Kyle's corner.
What do we want to talk about first? I think I want to talk about
the Onix patent.
Oh, okay. I'm still waiting for some, because I have like some information I'm not allowed to talk about, but like Onix has a patent, so is claiming they have a patent on thermoforming, basically. The specific process of thermoforming, which and it held up against, I guess they actually enforced it against Pickle, the PCKL Pickle, not like Gabe Tardy.
Yeah, IKKL.
Yeah. And I guess they were actually able to enforce that patent against them for the process of thermoforming.
That they have to pay licensing or something?
So, I think that's up to Onix. Like, they can have them cease and desist. They can have them pay to use that process. I think you can have to pay a percentage of your sales, like from the start of using that process.
That's so bizarre. Like, every company uses thermoforming.
That's true, but I think it's actually like the specific way they're thermoforming. And if you look at the documents, it like talks about like how a bladder is being filled with foam. So I don't think it's going to affect all brands, because I don't think everybody's thermoforming exactly the same. I could be wrong.
Thermoforming isn't like this blanket statement where everyone does it the same way. There's like different ways to do it.
Yeah, I think there's more than one way. And I think it's like the specific, I think Justin might have talked about it. Like, there's like a specific order in like the document for the patent too. Like, this is filled here, then the face is applied. So technically, if you did it like the face applied, then this, it would be like not the same process. I'm not a patent lawyer though, so.
Okay, but I know I've heard other brands being hit with like a cease and desist or some sort of thing from Onix about.
Yeah,
this.
I think there's several other brands that are actually in talks with Onix right now. So I think more will shake out from that.
This is so bizarre because like when thermoforming first came out, like I was reading up on it, like this isn't like a new process. Like this has been around for ages.
No. Yeah.
And it was just being applied to pickleball.
I mean, you heard that it wasn't that long ago that Australia filed a patent for the wheel.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
No, I did not know that.
So, it's like patents are weird. I mean,
okay, well, we'll see how this shakes out. But like from a business standpoint, like this could be a big deal if it's
absolutely.
If it's real, it can hold water, which apparently it did already with one brand.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, honestly, the play is to hit a few smaller brands to basically, because if you're successful in enforcing it, then you can go after the bigger brands. Because think about if you went straight towards Selkirk or somebody that had big money that could fight it, like
adds a new wrinkle, dude. It's a dog eat dog world. I feel like in pickleball space right now, like everyone's just vying for a stake as it's in this like explosive. I feel like we're kind of coming to the end of it, like the explosive growth, and now things are now the dust is starting to settle.
There you go. It cracked me up though that it was Onix, because that like all the brand, like I almost have forgotten about Onix.
I know.
The only reason Onix is relevant is Matt and Lucy, and it's not even relevant. I just know they play with those paddles.
Yeah, I have not hit an Onix in a long time. They don't communicate with me.
No, I I tried to. I asked Lucy for a contact, and I contact Onix to see if I could get one of the supercells, but no response.
Yeah, I tried, like, this was probably a couple of years ago now. Yeah, never got a response.
The bigger brands are tough.
Are they
All
even
right.
that big? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think they are, because I think they're owned by, like, I think they're one of those ones that's like owned by like a big firm.
I gotcha.
Let's talk about pickle roll.
Okay.
Oh, so it started with, was it SLC PPA? The courts were terrible. Pickle roll was just taking all the heat. All the podcasts were bashing. Everybody was bashing them. I felt terrible because pickle roll was not the courts being used at the event.
It was
Architect, yeah,
Arctic.
I wonder if they're new to the temporary game, because they're the ones who have always painted, like, done the surfaces for PPA. But I didn't know they did roll on courts or the temporary like lay down courts until recently.
Yeah, me either.
So they basically, if you went on Facebook, Elise Jones was on like every single comment defending pickle roll and showing the statement that it wasn't their courts. It was great. And then going into Vegas, same
really
issues.
Lucky for them.
Yeah, and then Vegas, same issues. There was huge wrinkles in the court. I heard you could like feel grating under some of the panels. There was gaps. Lots of videos of just like balls dying. It was I just don't think.
I wonder if that's the surface or like the venue.
I think it has to be. I'm sure your base, like whatever it's rolled on top of, plays a huge factor.
It's got to.
And I think they used like a wood platform. So like I'm imagining that wood platform had like some give in spots, and it's just not. I think the better your prep surface, the better that court's going to play.
Yeah, I would think so. Like I want to see their courts on like a legitimate concrete surface that's leveled and see how it plays. Like if I'm Arctech, like I got to put something like that out right now.
Yeah.
Or you're never going to sell one of these.
Damage control. Yeah. So that was a good one. Did you see the new provisional serve rule for this next tournament?
A little bit. Tell me more.
Oh, okay. So they're going back to that the hip level drop that was provisional. That one, you can't toss the ball. But now they're allowing.
So that didn't go into effect when they were testing.
That was also a provisional.
Okay, so they just did that for a tournament, but
they keep trying all these rules to de-weaponize the serve, apparently. But now they're saying it again. It's from the hip, the drop. The ball cannot go upwards more than one ball length.
Okay,
and then your swing has to be 45 degrees or less. So I'm assuming that means straight down is 0. 45. So that to me means that like Tyson's going to be illegal if they're actually enforcing it. So that 45-degree angles, you get a protractor and I don't know. They need to come up with rules that are super easy to, like, honestly, you should just go to the drop serve. I don't like the drop serve, but at least that's enforceable.
I have like 2 issues with this. Like, one, this seems very difficult to enforce, right? Like, I feel like they should be making changes of how to enforce it, because the ref isn't doing it, right? Or they don't do it very often. And it's with these like specific of rules, like how are they going to do that? And so enforcing it, I feel like enforcing it is the issue, not the serve rules themselves. It's how do you enforce it? Like, how do you improve that? I don't know what the answer is, but I feel like they need to be thinking how do we call people out? How do we enforce this, rather than what rule do we change in the serve itself?
Yeah. Well, what I don't understand is, like, we're talking about de-weaponizing the serve, but most of the points we see that are won on a serve, I feel like, are due to bad bounces. Like, I don't think pros are out serving each other on average.
Yeah. When you hit harder, the ball is more likely to get deformed and give you a wonky bounce.
Exactly. Maybe, and that's what I feel like.
Fix the ball.
Exactly. Like, I think there's other things we could focus on.
Yeah, that's a good take. And then I saw, I mean, there was a bunch of posts about this on Instagram this week. I saw this take from Will Howells that I thought was interesting. He's like, this was just about deweaponizing the serve in general versus what the exact rules were. But he's like,
Mm.
de-weaponizing the serve is silly because the amateurs and pros, like there needs to be a skill gap. Like when they go watch the pros play, they need to see them use the same rules, but just do it better than them. Like when they see a pro just rip a serve and have to handle the return, you're like impressed because you're like, I can't do that. And when you de-weaponize a serve like this, it makes the amateurs go to the vet and be like, oh, I can do what they're doing. Like we don't want the amateur to feel like they can do what the pros are doing, right? Which is a very common like misconception. Like people will watch pros and be like, oh, that doesn't look that hard, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good take from Will of like, you are making the viewership less exciting. You're like bringing the gap between the pros and the amateurs closer together, which you don't want. You want more separation. You want them to be able to showcase their skills and impress people. And
I saw another,
going to do that.
I saw another really good take. Like, what other paddle sport or racket sport is the serve not a weapon?
Badminton?
I don't know enough about badminton.
I don't know. That's the only one that came to mind.
I'll have to Google it, but I just like table tennis. Like the serve is a huge weapon. So, tennis, it's a huge weapon. Like,
yeah, tennis is the serve.
I don't know much about squash, so I'm gonna have to do some research on like squash and badminton. But I'd be surprised if the serve, you know, exactly. Every racket sport I have played, the serve is a weapon.
Yeah, it seems silly. I feel like they're approaching it wrong. And if you really want to, tone it down, I feel like enforcing the current rules is more important. Like, because when you do follow the rules, like, yeah, you can hit it hard, but it's not like insane.
No.
And if you could just keep the people from cheating, then it would be fine.
I did see an argument, and I would agree with this because I have a pretty heavy serve that can push people back. Honestly, court dimensions, like the pros should have enough back like space to actually handle big, heavy serves. Because you don't want to put somebody in a wall where like that's unfair.
Yeah. The venue, but again, that's not a problem to serve. That's a venue problem, right?
No, exactly. That's what there's other ways to approach the weapon.
Yeah, it seems silly for me. Like every time we're finding like an issue with the serve, it's not actually the serve. It's some element surrounding the serve, not the serve itself. And it just seems funny that they're trying to change that so much. What else you got?
Last thing we had was the response to the Selkirk letter.
Oh, I guess we kind of already talked about that.
That was kind of it for the.
We're gonna find out more later this month.
Yep. Sit around and wait.
Yep. Well, cool, man. That's gonna conclude our topics for the week. Have fun in Japan. We'll see you again next week. I think we're doing another pod in this setting with you there, and then you're gonna be more like vacationing the week after that.
Yeah, we can probably still do another one, but we're at least gonna get one more while I'm here. So
okay. Yeah, we'll keep talking about that and get that lined up. But thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
All right, have a great day, guys.